157 pounds. That's the total amount of weight that I was able to lose, and if you're as big as I was when I started, you can too, so stick around to find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about essentially what is the main reason I wanted to make my whole YouTube channel, which is my whole weight loss journey. As I already said, the difference from my highest weight and my lowest weight is almost 160 pounds. I've been working on weight loss and fitness for about 5 years now, and I went from somebody who never wanted to hit the gym to somebody who meticulously tracks each and every calorie and never misses a single day. I wasn't always a bigger kid, but probably around 5th grade or so I really started to chunk up, and through middle school and high school I just kept getting bigger and bigger. I had tried different diets over the years, but it seemed like nothing ever really stuck. There are always fad diets, such as something called the military diet, which I don't know if you've looked that up before, but don't try it. It's you essentially just eat tuna, green beans, saltine crackers. You'll find yourself losing a ton of water weight, but that's about it. These types of diets always work in the short term and give you a little bit of a confidence booster, but that's it, and then you just pack the weight right back on. Now, I'd say the real journey here started at the end of my high school years. I was officially finished with my time playing football, which was my main outlet for staying active during my teen years. And with that gone, I didn't really know what to do with myself. It was after the new year 2016, my whole family really got involved in trying to lose weight together. At first, I was really only just halfway into it, just kind of as my family was eating low-calorie, healthy meals. I would decide I didn't really like it and either have my mom make something special on the side for me or just drive up to the store and get something cheap and unhealthy. After about a month or so, I saw all the success that my family was having. Meanwhile, it felt like I was going nowhere. One of the big things we would always do is that we would kind of every Friday weigh in and then share our progress, and their weight kept going down while I was just spinning my wheels. In fact, I was probably actually gaining a bit. I was of course happy for them, but can't lie that I was probably a bit jealous of seeing their success. I'd say that jealousy paired with kind of a deep fear of just being bigger and bigger and finding myself on some half-ton man show made me realize that I needed to make a change. That's when I really kind of started to take it seriously. My first step was downloading MyFitnessPal, and I recorded my starting weight on February 28th, 2016 at a whopping 330 pounds. At first I didn't really do anything crazy, I just followed the app's recommended calories, although later I might go into why that's not necessarily always the best, because I think their calories can be pretty inaccurate. And I just ate the healthier meals that my family was having and did a decent amount of cardio at my local YMCA. The first 3 weeks, I consistently was losing 6 or 7 pounds and got my weight all the way down to 310 by March 18th. After that initial quick drop, it was obviously mostly water weight, because then my weight really kind of started to fall at a much slower pace, and it took me a couple months to lose that same amount of weight. But by June 17th, I was sitting at 291, so another about 20 or so pounds. Then family vacations happened. I remember I was feeling good and having lost almost 40 pounds, but I definitely let loose that summer, and I wouldn't get back under 300 pounds until August 26th, sitting at 298. I would be slow and steady on the weight loss consistently throughout the next couple of months, and then I was 285 on October 28th, and then another setback, which is the holiday season. And obviously, as we know, that's a time of everybody letting loose and usually gaining a few pounds. Things obviously slowed down, and I feel like I rebounded a bit, but when I next logged my weight again on January 9th of 2017, I was back at 285. I remember I struggled to really stay kind of locked in at that time, and I really only lost 2 pounds over the first 2 months, and then my weight was 283 on February 27th, but that made a total of 47 pounds for that first year. Being a whole year into it, I really wanted to see the results start coming faster, so that's when I started resorting to some pretty stupid methods, I would say. To start, I would literally just not eat on Monday or Tuesdays, nothing for those whole 2 days, and for the rest of the week until about Friday or Saturday, so Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe Friday, I'd only eat about 1,000 calories, which for a guy of my size is really low. Pair this with the fact that I was still doing crazy amounts of cardio, sometimes for hours on the elliptical or treadmill, and logging about 2,000 calories every time. There's no denying that the weight did drop very fast, but like I said, I don't recommend this type of method. It's your best keeping your deficit a lot smaller and just trusting the process and doing it over a longer period of time. I actually remember there was one instance due to these crazy methods that I stood up too fast and I literally fainted. This is most likely because my blood pressure was too low and my metabolism was just moving so slowly from not having enough calories to, function. Being a taller guy, if I just stand up too fast, I can definitely get a little lightheaded, but probably shouldn't be fainting from that. This would actually happen a few times throughout my whole weight loss journey. Like I said though, the weight was falling fast, and 2 months later on April 28th, 2017, I was sitting at 254 pounds, which was another 29 pounds down for 76 pounds lost overall. It was at this time that people really started to notice and kind of asking like, hey, what are you doing? Or like, wow, you look great, that's awesome. Definitely getting congratulations from, people, whether at close family members or even just acquaintances, was definitely a huge confidence booster. Unfortunately though, even though I appreciate it, it definitely fed into my kind of belief that this was the right way to go, so I continued on despite the feints. Over the next month and a half or so, I lost another 15 pounds and sat at 239 on June 16th of that year. Then once again, family vacations came, and I didn't log another weight loss until August 18th when I was down another 3 pounds. I do feel though that these instances really show that you can go on family vacations or enjoy a holiday and still see long-term success, even though in the short term it looks like your weight spiked up a bit. The whole point of losing weight is to improve your life, so you don't want to make your life miserable just to try to get there. But after summer, I would hit it hard again and was obviously determined to be under 200 pounds. That was a big goal of mine. On September 1st, I was able to hit that 100-pound mark of weight loss, and for the first time I actually posted to social media. I had never really used my accounts in the past for anything but using maybe coupons or here or there, but I had a bit of confidence and was excited to share that with other people. I was also excited because at this time I was just barely fitting into large shirts for the first time in forever, so that was nice. Through my crazy methods, I actually hit that 200-pound mark, but of weight, not weight loss, but 200 pounds, right before Halloween on October 27th, 2017. That's 36 pounds lost in just 2.5 months, which is pretty crazy fast when you get that low. Like, when you're just starting, that can be kind of expected just because you're retaining so much water, but to lose it when you're already, down to in the low 200s, that's pretty fast. Definitely riding high off seeing my weight start with a 1 for the first time since probably middle school. And that's a feat that I thought would be impossible unless I saw myself getting to 1,000 pounds. Given that I'd hit that major milestone of mine, I wasn't as bent on constantly seeing the weight go down and the scale change, but I did actually keep losing weight throughout the rest of the year, even through the holidays that year. I was less willing to allow myself to just, let loose and enjoy the holidays because I had always set 180 as kind of my goal weight and was just really wanted to hit that. I know part of me was worried that if I enjoyed the holidays too much that my weight would go way too high and then it would be, fighting back just to get back down. Again, I think that's kind of stupid because as I've seen in vacations in the past, you can have that fun and it will go up, but you just got to trust that it's going to come back down. But yeah, like I said, the holidays were still kind of strict for me, so I was even lost 2 pounds in that week between December 22nd and December 29th, so I was obviously very strict and kind of crazy. Overall, since hitting that 200-pound marker, I lost another 12 pounds throughout that entire holiday season and brought my weight down to 188 at the start of the new year, 2018. Then around my 20th birthday, my family took a little mini trip to a Avenged Sevenfold concert, and I definitely let myself enjoy that, thankfully, and I didn't really see much weight loss that first month. My weight actually stalled for the next couple of months, but I was able to get back into losing more weight around mid-March, and that momentum carried through a couple of weeks until I finally hit my goal weight of 180 pounds. I remember this was huge for me because that was always the weight where I felt like I wanted to be, even though, to be honest, the number really shouldn't matter. I should have probably focused more on how I felt and how I looked. The numbers can be kind of arbitrary. It is a good way to track, but to just be set on a number is, not the best way to go about it. Either way, it definitely was nice to see myself commit to a goal and see myself all the way through to it. And then pretty much immediately, I was happy to jump on a, bulking phase where I intentionally allowed myself to gain some of that weight back and focused on building muscle and, getting stronger. I had been lifting weights for a while before that as part of my daily exercise routine, but being so low in calories, I was just getting weaker and weaker and weaker throughout that time. It's actually pretty expected even for bodybuilders when you're cutting weight that you're gonna lose a little bit of muscle and some strength. That's why you're best to kind of play it smart, keep your macros on point, and then you'll minimize the muscle loss. Overall though, some muscle loss usually is inevitable. I also then started taking creatine, which I had been avoiding because I knew that it causes a little bit of water retention, which I didn't want to see that weight spike up, even though all it does is going to make your muscles look fuller, so it's kind of stupid to be focused on that weight. But again, I was focused on the numbers rather than more about how I looked. So with taking creatine and upping my calories, I actually gained about 6 pounds in only 2 weeks. I would continue lifting and eating more throughout the next couple of months, and then on May 19th, 2018, I was sitting at 193 pounds. What's funny though is that even though I was eating more over the course of the weeks, I remember that when it came time for the weekend, I was actually less willing to kind of let loose as I was when I was cutting the weight. This is because I knew that my calories were already in a surplus, so I felt like if I had a traditional cheat meal that I was just going to go way overboard and just be getting too fat too quick. I would continue this to the next couple of months, and then I saw my weight at 199 on August 28th of that year. I remember at this time I was in a bit of a freak out mode because I didn't want to see my weight above 200 again, which that's kind of crazy for somebody my height, but it is what it is. So I went back on the intense dieting, and I would see my weight back at 180 by December 21st of 2018. I even continued to lose weight through the holidays again, and was at 178 pounds on January 11th of 2019. Throughout the next couple months, I'd see my weight yo-yo up and down, up 5, down 4, then back up 3, and so on, leaving me at 184 on May 10th of 2019. At this time, my St. Louis Blues were deep in the playoffs, so it seemed like every other night there was a game and we were having pizza or something. To add to this, I was a little stressed because it was my last summer before my last year of college, and I was really freaking out about finding an internship, which I actually did end up landing one, and I still work there today, so it all worked out. But I definitely put my fitness on the back burner and just convinced myself that it was still, bulk season, and continued to way overeat because I was starved for so long, and I was definitely primed for a bit of a rebound. Through the Blues Cup victory and family vacations in June, I came back and weighed myself afterwards on July 1st, and my jaw just about dropped when I saw that I was 217 pounds. Quite insanely though, I can see that this was really due to just an unbelievable amount of water retention and bloating from vacation, because in a mere 3 days I was down over 15 pounds, and then I sat at 202 pounds on the 4th of July of that year. Still though, there's no doubt that I was quite visibly bigger and felt much more heavy and sluggish, so I set myself determined to get back down in weight. I hit it hard for the next couple of months, and I remember I was walking to and from the gym every day, and in the dead heat of summer I remember my legs would be dead. Through hitting it really hard, I was back down to 189 in mid-September. I continued all the way back to be fully back down to 180 on November 10th of that year. At this point I remember I knew I was definitely at a bit of a crossroads because I didn't want to keep going into where I would gain a ton of weight and then lose a ton of weight, then gain a ton of weight. So that year I decided I'd ease up and really let myself enjoy the holidays just a bit more. Still though, I was determined not to let it spiral out of control like it did in vacation time. This was actually when I started tracking things in MyFitnessPal every single day. Like I said, I'd been using it since I'd started, but it wasn't necessarily an everyday thing. I'd previously never cared to use the app on, weekends or holidays, but I knew that just kind of using it would help keep me more mindful and help me not to overdo it too much. About 10 pounds came on pretty quickly, but I think that was really just because I was so carb depleted at 180, so my weight stabilized in the low 190s over the next couple of months. Even despite the weight staying the same, I definitely felt and looked like I was, gaining a bit of muscle. I think this was probably the only time during my entire journey that I went through a body recomposition period where I was, losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, which is pretty hard to do. I will say though, I do think there were a lot of factors that helped, primed me to be at the perfect point to do this, and I don't think that everybody can necessarily go through a body recomposition. You're best to just go through traditional bulking and cutting phases and still throw in a maintenance phase here and there just to keep your sanity in check. Moving on into February, I was sitting at 193 pounds and decided to post on social media about this little kind of rebound I did and how I was able to lose quite a bit of weight in another half year. I remembered this kind of got me to remember that bit of high you can get when you post to social media and get a bit more likes. I didn't have a huge following, but it was definitely nice to see people like and comment about my dedication and all that. So this caused me to actually decide that I wanted to lose more weight, as I decided to get as shredded as I possibly could by summer in order just to post to social media for it. I think this really shows how chasing clout and likes on social media really can cloud your judgment, as you just try to see the results as fast as possible, and I just got more and more restrictive as time went on. It didn't start off too crazy as I lost only 4 pounds in 3 weeks. This put me at 189 pounds on February 25th, 2020. 2 weeks later, I was down another 2 pounds at 187. Now, these pictures always get me because I feel like this was definitely the perfect size for me. Some of my family would argue that it might be too small for me, but I think it's just kind of that perfect level of muscularity while, still keeping enough body fat just to kind of, keep you sane. I definitely wish that I just, worked on maintaining this weight, but I was convinced that I still needed to lose more. I remember I had set a new goal weight of 165 pounds, again, totally arbitrary, and it was just based on being half of my starting weight of 330. So I lost another 5 pounds in about 3 weeks and was down to 182 on April 4th. But the weight stalled a bit, I remember, and I was at 181 on April 12th. Now these pictures I feel like are where you can really start to see me lose a bit too much of muscle, and I was probably losing weight too quickly. This was right after the lockdowns had started in my area, so I could no longer go to the gyms around me and, try to keep my muscle. In place of that, for my exercise, I would just go on these super long walks, sometimes up to like 2 hours at a time, and that was definitely, burning a ton of calories. I know a lot of people probably struggled with gaining weight throughout quarantine, but for me, just being stuck at home gave me less food distractions, and I felt like I wasn't really missing out on anything if I didn't eat much. Even though throughout my whole journey I was really kind of sacrificing my social life just to stay strict on my diet, I felt like the lockdowns and being forced to just kind of made it easier on me. So my calories were getting stupid low. I was eating nothing but protein shakes, low-calorie bread and egg whites, used to make some anabolic French toast. Comment below if you know what I'm talking about there. And, Greek yogurt, stuff like that for only like 1,500 calories a day. But the weight was definitely dropping there, and I was at 176.4 pounds on April 26th. But then it started to stall, and I was still at 176.6 on May 3rd, and then even a bit heavier on May 10th at 177.8. Then I started eating pretty much next to nothing, and within a week I was down to 173.8 on May 17th, but that stalled again, and my weight went up to 174 on May 24th. This picture here, I'm definitely without a doubt the smallest that I've ever been. I definitely think this is too small. I think that with my loose skin, it might look like I'm even bigger than I am. That's caused from, losing so much weight. You're bound to have some loose skin. And I'll probably have another video just to talk about that one. But nonetheless, I was actually still trying to lose even more weight, as stupid as that might seem. The problem I started to run into, though, was that I had conditioned my body on so little of calories and was so intensely hungry that even though I'd be eating often less than 1,000 calories a day, every, 5 days or so, I would just be so hungry that I would just lose control and feel like I had to eat everything in sight. Binge eating was always kind of a problem for me, but this is, I feel like, where it was at its worst, and I can probably do a couple of videos just to talk about that topic too. Comment below if that's something you want to hear about. But after late May, I was unable to see my weight get any lower just because of this constant cycle of restriction and binge eating. I did at least hit the gym though, so that's at least a plus. And then in late June, the company that I'm with, I had to do a company-wide furlough for about a week, and during that time I took a trip and, let loose. And then a couple weeks later, I would go on another trip to Pensacola with my family and was just eating everything in sight in both of these trips just because I was so intensely hungry. During that late July period, I was about 188 pounds, and I wanted to see myself start losing again, but I really struggled, just again that constant cycle, and I really couldn't see the weight budge anymore. Around late August, I would take another just short little weekend trip down to Kentucky Lake. I remember it was at this time that I really just realized that I needed to stop constantly going through the cycle and just needed to focus on getting my maintenance calories back up, and also just help with not being constantly starved and going through, binges all the time. Once again, the weight went up a bit quickly at first, and I was at 192.2 on September 5th of 2020, on to 191.6 on September 12th, and 100. This kind of shows that I had really kind of locked in my weight and it didn't really want to change up or down. After this, I abandoned the regular shirtless, pics that I keep showing because I felt like my body wasn't changing at all, so there's no point. But thankfully, I really wasn't too worried about it, and I was satisfied where I was and much more focused on strength gains in the gym. My weight really stabilized in the 195 to 200 range, often right in the middle at 197 to 198 as I was weighing myself daily, and still try to weigh myself pretty much daily. I've actually been able to eat a much healthier amount of calories every day at 2,700, and I've been really focused on making sure my macronutrients are where they should be in order to make sure that I'm getting the best out of my weightlifting. If you're interested, my macro goals are around 45% calories from carbs, 25% from fat, and 30% from protein, which at my calorie level is about 311 grams of carbs, 77 grams of fat, and 207 grams of protein. I'm definitely not always perfect on the macros, but being just more mindful has kept me a lot more consistent with all that. A big thing for me is it's really helped me to get more healthy fats in my diet, which is I think what I really struggled with when I was constantly focused on getting my calories so low, just because fats are the highest calorie dense macronutrient, so they're bound to up your calories if you're eating more of them. But healthy fats are definitely important for mental function, so that's why it's important to make sure you're still getting them in. I'm still hovering right around that same weight. Actually, this morning I was 198.2, and I really feel like I've been able to get a hold of my constant hunger problem. I feel satisfied with my daily calories, and I can still enjoy, a pizza here and there without it entirely spiraling out of control into a crazy binge. I also don't intensely crave foods like I used to before. I know like a big problem for me is sweets, but for example, a couple of weeks ago, my family, we were celebrating my niece's birthday, and we had, pizza and then cupcake. I had some pizza, and I was fully willing to let myself have the cupcake, but I just, wasn't feeling it. It also wasn't like in the past where I just wouldn't want to let myself enjoy that. I truly just didn't care and didn't feel like having one was gonna miss out on my only chance in the week to have it, which is kind of often what happens when you start a binge. You're like, I gotta have everything right now. That's often what happens with a binge. You feel like you have to eat everything right now because you're gonna go right back on the diet tomorrow. It's that fear of missing out that really kind of helps it to spiral out of control. So in the instance of this cupcake though, I knew that I could easily have it the next day and just fit it into my daily macros and I'd be fine. This may seem so small to most people and, kind of trivial, but for me it's pretty big because, for the longest time I was convinced that I was just always going to be hungry, and the only way for me to keep myself from gaining a ton of weight back was in order to just tell myself no to everything. Instead though, I found myself at a comfortable set point and I'm, satisfied off of a normal amount of calories. I know 2,700 might be kind of low for some bigger guys, but for me, as long as I'm satisfied with it, it doesn't really matter to me. So here we are today. It's been almost 5 full years since I've started. There have been ups and downs, but I really feel like it hasn't been until now that I've really figured everything out for myself. Now, does this mean I'm done? Absolutely not. There's always room for improvement, and fitness is a lifelong commitment. In fact, I actually am hoping to get a bit leaner and cut some more weight again, but this time I plan to, do it a lot safer and healthier, and hopefully I'll do a whole video series on here about that, and I think that if I can document it and have something to keep me accountable, I'll be a lot smarter about it. I want to be able to do this right and share my process so that other people can learn from it and possibly see the same results. Comment below if a video series on that would be interesting to you. Sorry if this video is overly focused on the numbers, but as somebody who meticulously tracks everything, I feel like that's always the easiest way for me to kind of get the whole picture. In honesty though, don't be just focused on what the scale says. Pay attention instead to how you look and feel, because that's why you're doing it anyways. So if I leave you with one main takeaway, as cliche as it might be, it's that anything is possible when you set a goal and relentlessly go after that specifically. When I was 330 pounds, I definitely didn't ever think that I could look like this, but here I am. I also thought that I was going to be somebody that was always constantly hungry and could never, set at a comfortable weight, but again, here I am. So if you're having trouble getting healthier, please start today. There's a million reasons why you can push it off till tomorrow, but it's never going to happen until you finally commit. Also, if I have another piece of advice, it's to take more pictures in the early stages. I definitely wish that I did more often, and you can see that in the early stages of this video there was a lot less pictures, but then as it went on I took more. Again, I know that this is probably kind of hard to do when you're bigger and you might not be as self-confident, but take it from me, you will thank yourself later for taking those pictures. Probably the biggest sense of accomplishment I get is when I look at these progress pics, and if you don't have anything to compare it to, it's harder to gauge all the progress that you've made. So that's about all I have to say. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It'll really help out the channel. Follow my socials if you'd like. I'll put them here and here. And also leave a comment on any topics that you might want to see in future videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.